Thanks everyone for joining. See, there's quite a list there, so I do appreciate it. I won't bore you, but this is something we see regularly as a reseller, partner, whatever you want to call us. FGS see this day in, day out, and this is problems with people's contracts. And when we talk about contracts, we're talking about anything that's got a start and end date. So if you think you buy service contracts, you buy equipment might be just warranty. You might not buy, your laptops, you might not buy extended maintenance side of it, you must just warranty. And actually knowing when that starts and when it finishes is absolutely imperative. And I've got loads of examples here, which I'll try and bring it to life by giving examples. Some of them are examples I'm afraid some of you on here might recognise, because I can see some of the clients here, and some of these are your examples, but I will not bring names. So I will not incriminate the guilty, But this is not just you, this is everybody. I don't think there's a client out there who hasn't got this issue in one way or t'other. Some have got it nailed a little bit better than others, but it seems to be a bit scattergun and spreadsheets all over the place. But I'll explain to you how what we have done, but also what we see. So probably go through what we've seen before what we've done. So the slideshow, you might find, I'm going to talk around the slideshow to an extent and maybe ignore some of it, but it will send you the slideshow afterwards, so you've got a reference point. So if you think I'm not following the slides, well, that's probably me in life, to be honest. And most of you know me who are on this call, so I think that's fair enough. So any questions, just unmute yourself and shout things out. That's no problem whatsoever. So I've got Jürgen Grech on the call as well. He runs the Malta side, so the development side and some infrastructure side from there, but primarily development side of the business is run out of Malta. And Malta, for those who don't know FGS, because there's a couple here I don't recognise, FGS based in London and Malta, 50% of our business comes out of each region. And it's as simple as that, really. We're heavily in the regulated markets, so that is where our focus is. Banking, so we do have banking in Malta, but the UK, nearly all of our business is banking, international banking, and that's where we sit. So highly regulated, and in Malta, a lot of iGaming, gambling, some people call it, but I don't think people like to call it gaming, so we can call it what we like. So that's really where we are. And the contract side, we sell a lot of contracts and we service a lot of contracts. So we see these things happening all the time. And a lot of companies do throw away a lot of money on managing these contracts. I apologise if you hear background, but I've got kids and stuff running around the house. So, but I think we're all in the same boat here. So just to move on, we've got a few set webinars because we usually do events, as most of you have been to. Majority of the clients who are on this have been to events that are face-to-face. They're dinner events, they're presentation events, and we'll stand up and talk. Well, we can't do that at this time for obvious reasons. We can't get people together. So we're doing webinar events at the moment. Hang on a sec. Gillian! Oh, sorry. Gillian's walking past and talking to her friends on the phone, so I apologise about that. So we're doing webinar events, and we've got for this one, we can just see how they go, really. We've never done them before. I quite like the face-to-face myself, but I can still talk whatever, as most of you know. So contract side of things. Now, what do we see? What do we see out there? We see managing contracts on spreadsheets, and that's regularly in different areas of the business. It could be the procurement side might have some contracts, maybe the infrastructure side have contracts, the account side have contracts, and they'll have different spreadsheets or different methodologies of doing this. Julia, please. One of the problems you get here is it's very difficult to collate these, put them together. And so if there's a failure, how do you know what your coverage is? How do you know what your SLAs are? do you know whether you've actually run out of support? We would get calls probably within the business 3 or 4 a week from clients saying, I've tried to put a call in with Cisco today, but they're saying we're not covered. You know, why am I not covered? I bought that from you. You check on it and say, yeah, we did remind you 3 months ago, 2 months ago, a month. It's expired. We can't do anything about that. And so that happens a lot. And that real adds risk to the business because you're actually not covered on infrastructure side, which could be critical systems. You're just not covered and you don't know. Yeah. And so, but another one we've seen a lot, a good example of that is one of the biggest brokerage firms, as in brokerage, financial brokerage, selling. So this company turns over, I think they're the biggest turning over company in this industry. So it's a huge industry. We're talking trillions of dollars, yeah? Their Bloomberg contract ran out. And this was only about 4 weeks ago. They're one of our clients. And their contract ran out. They could not trade because the Bloomberg terminals were not up. They didn't know what was going on in the markets for half a morning. Yeah, massive impact. We are talking millions and millions of lost brokerage fees. Yeah, and that was just on nobody had control when the Bloomberg ran out. I've got loads of examples of that. Now, you just think about it also for assets that you don't use anymore or you haven't got. Now, this is crippling some organisations. And I'll give a really good example. And I can't say the name again, but they're a big American bank, Boston-based bank, who we had over 700 servers under contract for them. They were paid annually, and it was X amount. Yeah, it was quite a lot of money. They were paying sort of 200,000 or 300,000 a year to cover these. When we did an audit of there, they had 320. So they were over double paying, and this went on for years. So the disposal side of their processes internally were failing. Nobody was telling anybody. They'd dispose of it, they'd do secure disposals, they'd do data wiping, there'd be crushing of disk, etc. All of that was perfect. So but it didn't link up to the people running the contracts. So if something dropped off, no one was told. And so we wouldn't be going to HP and say they don't use that anymore, because we were unaware, yeah, and they didn't. So they were basically paying £100,000 a year to cover things that were actually been in a skip for 1, 2, 3 years. So this is very, very common, and so some of you might recognise this within your business. These sort of things. Another area that we see a lot of, and there is an example. Quite a recent example in Malta, as it happens. And I won't say the client. They're paid for 24/7 contracts. When they went to place a call on a Friday evening, actually the contract that the manufacturer had was 9 till 5 weekdays. So what they bought and what was actually the manufacturer input were different. So that call then couldn't be placed till the Monday morning. Now, this meant that, as it happens, they got away with it as such, because it was they went into the DR side of the and there was failover. But they had systems they thought they were covered at the weekend, and they weren't. And so this happens quite a lot. You'll be surprised how often this happens. Now, I'm not accusing our industry, which is not the straightest industry in the world. I'd love to say it was, but it's not. Just through experience, and I've been in it since '83. When clients order contracts that say 24/7 and get a lower contract, I've never seen it the other way round. I've never seen it where a client orders just a 9/5 contract and gets 24/7. So either it's a massive coincidence or there's something going on there. So you need to be diligent about how you do this. Now, I've not mentioned that we've actually got a system that covers all of this, but I will bring that on at a later time. So another area is placing calls. Now this, we get a lot of calls at FGS to the account manager. I'm trying to place a call with whoever it is, HP. I don't know how to do it. I don't have a contract number. Yeah, I've got the serial number and I know what's wrong with it, but I don't know who to call. I don't know how to place a call. Now, this can sometimes take a number of hours because they haven't got their contract number. We might not have it because we might not have sold it. It might be somebody else. We then have to go into HP. They have to allow us to see it, and then we tell them how to place a call. Now, we've known this taking over a day, actually, but say it usually takes 3 hours. If you're on a 4-hour response and it's taken you 3 hours to actually place the call, you're really now on a 7-hour response. So what you're paid for, what you're getting, are two different things. So you need to know. It would be great to, but every time you have an issue, you go, bang, there's a serial number, you input it, shows you the contract, shows you your SLA and how to place a call. It means you are in total control of that call. You're the strength. You phone up HPE or Lenovo, whoever it may be, and you say, tell you what, I've got an SLA of 4+4 here. I'm expecting someone to turn up on site within 4 hours. It's now 9 o'clock, someone will be here by 1, and at 4-hour fix after that, this needs to be fixed by 5 o'clock this afternoon. I've got the contract in front of me, it's what it states. The pressure's now on them to deliver. If you haven't got that information, the strength of the call's not with you. Yeah, and so it's a fantastic thing. If you've got an app or you go to a data center, just put in a serial number, you've got a drive down or whatever, a power supply down or whatever it may be, you can make that call and just go, bang, contract numbers here, I've got it in front of me, this is the SLA, this is what my expectations are. It makes it so easy. We get a lot of that. People don't know how to put calls in. Now, as another area that you will find, just the way the industry works, warranties. So you've got a 2-year warranty. We say 3 year because all infrastructure tends to have 3-year warranty. Now, when you buy equipment, if that piece of equipment's been sitting at an authorised distribution partner, say for HP at Tech Data, for 9 months, the warranty date for that 3 years started ticking when it left the factory at HPE. Yeah, so you've lost 9 months. So you've lost whatever that is, 28% of your warranty support, and you would never know that. Now, that is something that is really just money, throwing money down the drain, because that warranty is part of the cost of the purchase. Now, if you've lost 30% of that, that is a major thing. And also, you'll be running out of warranty when you don't realise it. You think, oh, I've got 3 years on that because that's what it says. You've actually only got 2 years and 3 months because it's been sitting. Now, that is something on purchase that the supplier, FGS in this case, should be reverting. We can check on, when we sell it and say, okay, there's only a month, we just tell you that it's not worth doing. But when it's 6 months, 8 months, 2 years, we've got examples where things have gone out of warranty before they've been sold. So you've actually got no warranty to fall back on. And this isn't that uncommon. If you're out there thinking that's happened to me, and thinking this is unusual, it isn't. It's all over the industry. So all of these examples I'm giving you are common, really, really common. Now, one of the things we also can do, though this can be quite difficult, is co-terming. So if you've got, say for example, 50 HPE contracts, yeah, and they all finish at different times. The management side of running those contracts is a real pain in the butt. Yeah, you've got one expiring pretty much every week, some 3 times in a week, and you've got to keep control of that. You've got to budget for it. You've got to sort it out, and you've then got to get quotes, 50 separate quotes. Maybe if you've got to do 3 on each, that's 150. You've got to wait for it to come in. You've got to check them. You've got to procure them. You've got to pay invoices, etc., etc. You've got to add them to your spreadsheet or whatever you put it on, or CMDB system, whatever you may be running. Now, if they all expired at the same time, not only the management costs of management time and the lack of errors, it is a massive positive. Yeah, you also get cost benefits, because if you've got 50 contracts that equate to £500,000, if you bundled them all together and said, there's £500,000 worth of contracts, someone would come in and do that for 300,000 for you. HP would probably come in reduce the cost because it's a lot bigger number. Yeah, just the way of the world. And so when you co-term, which can be difficult with some manufacturers, I appreciate that. Sometimes it's not worth doing. But where you can, your management burden has gone down massively. So your risk goes massively down on risk goes down on things being lost through the gaps in the floor. Yeah, you drop one or you drop two contracts, and you know, sod's law, they would be the contracts that are really important for you. So if you can get them co-termed, and that's something we can help with, and then say, here's your £500,000 worth of contracts from last year. Want them all finishing at the end of your financial year, which also helps for accounting purposes. Bundled together, maybe get 30-40% reduction. Yeah, so all of these add up to the 60% cost contract. So your risk reducing, your cost direct reduction, your management time reduction, the risk reduction. Yeah, and so it makes things easy. So the last thing that we're talking about here is budgets. Now, I've got one client specifically. It's in the UK, and from September through to the end of October, he always says, Pete, don't even bother phoning me. I said, why not? He said, because I'm doing my budgets. And that is so common. He says it's the bane of his life. In the end, when he has to hit a date, he always starts late, and he has to try and find everything they're budgeting for. It falls through the cracks again. So often, you know, we've had 3 in the last 2 weeks of contracts that we've had to get. One in a big Japanese bank in the UK, quite a sizable contract as well, not 6 figures, but not far short. They struggled to get it through. They didn't get it through on time, so they had an area they weren't supported. There's risk for you. Yeah, it was only a few days, but it wasn't budgeted for. It was missed, and that's because budget is so often a manual process. So we have produced a system that we run. Yeah, I could flick through the slides, and I apologise I've not, and I could have done and gone through the risk management and gone through it, but I will send you these slides anyway. So we've got a solution. It's a cloud-based solution. It's called CaaS, so it's contracts as a service. So it's not a CMDB system, although we will be in future linking it to people's CMDB systems. It is not a contract system that you would have at the moment. It is as a service. And when we say as a service, we run it for you. Yeah. We will input your contracts that you've got at the moment. We will input the costs if you're happy with that. Yeah. Now, the reason the costs are important, I'll tell you in a minute. Yeah. So we'll have the start dates, the end dates, the costs in there. We'd have all of the service levels in there because we will make sure they're all input and what is covered. Yeah. So all you need to do, there's only 2 things you do as a customer to us once we've got this information that's in, is you tell us when you buy something and you tell us when you get rid of something. That's it. Nothing else at all. So we will keep the contracts database up to date at all time. You can view it all the time. You can't edit it. As soon as somebody else starts to edit it, the ownership moves away and there's errors start to come. So if you buy the products from us, they'll automatically be put on, and we would automatically say to you, just as part of the process, if you're running the CaaS system, is this getting rid of something? And they say, yeah, we're migrating off these 12 servers and we're buying 12 new servers or 3 new servers. Okay, we will be on you every 2 weeks. Have you got rid of these servers yet? Have you got rid of them yet? Now, an additional cost savings with that is if you've got more than 90 days or maybe 128 days, depending on which manufacturer or which support contract you're using, if you take something off that's halfway through contract, you can get money back. Yeah. And this, one of our clients who's a big Japanese bank, we actually take that money back for us, for FGS. Yeah. Which they never would have seen before. They never would have done it. So when they get refunds, that comes to us. And guess what? They don't pay anything for this system at all, but we get paid for it by that, which wasn't which they never got the money in the first place. So it's cost them nothing to run. So the system here, so it's a database system. You can view it. I mean, Jürgen might be able to show it in a second, just an example what it looks like. But you could have it on the app. So you're in the data center, you put the serial number in, bang, it comes up with everything. You can, at the end of the year or whenever you want, you run budgets. And you say, what's outstanding? What have we got for next year? Yeah, you click what's on for next year. And you make up a percentage increase. Say you're going to put on your budget, so it goes up 10%. 10% increase across the board, click, done, your budgets are there, download them into a spreadsheet, send them to accounts. These are all the contracts. You can take some off with just a tick because you know that you will not be using that next year. Yeah. And you either run, some companies do budgets on invoice for support and contracts. So if you do a budget on an invoice, it would just be next year you can be invoiced 428,000. That's with a 10% increase. You can choose 15 or 5 or 20, totally up to you. If you want to build some, a little bit of leeway into it, in case you miss something, you can put 25. Yeah. But your budgets will then come out. It's got a list of all the contracts, who they're with, how much they cost last year, yeah, and what the information is. You can get that straight to accounts into your budget. Thank you very much. So your budget process, instead of taking weeks and being error strewn, it's immediate. We are literally saying this. Oh, yeah, I want all those contracts. I don't want these 8. Yeah, and so that's it. It's done. Pull it out for you. Now, some companies don't use that part of the system because they don't want FGS to see what they're buying from somebody else. I don't understand that. That's up to them. Some do. We've got one account that they get this system free of charge, but they allow us then to quote for every contract. And clearly, we've got a commercial advantage there because we know what they bought it from the year before. But actually, that could then also be a reduction for them. Now, we've seen contracts where other clients have charged. We had one, I say recently, only 2 weeks ago, that was, I think, 24,000 euros. So you can guess it was in Malta. And we were doing this for the client, it was actually 6,000. So because we saw it, we charged for 7, we made 1, we were happy with that. And the client saved themselves 17,000 euros. Yeah. So it was simple. But we totally understand when customers do not want us to see that financial information. The information is there for the ones they've bought from us because we would naturally put it on. So the CaaS system, in a nutshell, it just makes things simple for you on contracts. You haven't got them running all over. There is a process change at the client's end, without a doubt. So at the moment, you've got purchasing doing some, you've got IT doing others, etc., etc. You might have facilities management. One of our clients, who I have mentioned but not the name, they've started putting things like the lifts, yeah, on there. When does their lift maintenance run out? They've got a kitchen, so they start putting on when their services are next due on their microwave ovens and things like that. So they've taken that, but it's irrelevant if it's IT. We're talking IT because that's what we're all in. I can see all the attendees are all in this area. So I've just moved my mouse and it jumped all over. So you're looking at controlling costs, you reduce your risk, your contracts are central. We can link to your CMDB systems if you have one. So we can see you're having contracts. Now that part of the system is not up and running yet because there's so many different CMDB systems. So it depends on your APIs and how that interlinks. But it would be, you've got this under contract, but we can't see it on your system. It doesn't seem to be turned on. Can you check it? So, but that isn't available yet. So you'll always be covered. You can control your costs. You can control your risks because you're always going to be covered. You know what your SLAs, and you can force your SLAs. You will stop I'm not going to use the word unscrupulous. You will stop the errors as if you buy an 8x5 or whatever it might be contract, a 24/7 contract becoming 8x5, because when that's loaded on and your invoice is on there, we can see what the PO says, and it says 24/7, and we'll check that with the contract as it's going on. That's our job. Yeah, so we do that checking. You don't need to do that checking. You can if you like, but you don't need to. So, and then you go back to the supplier and say, look, we ordered 24/7, but that's not what the manufacturer thinks. And they go, oh yeah, really sorry, made a mistake there. Or manufacturer made a mistake is what they'd usually say, which is fair enough. So we are working, your budgets are easy, your costs are reducing on man time. Your management costs of this, you're not running it yourself anymore. And you haven't got that issue of when things come out. You can just look. We will send you an automatic reminder, and you choose the times there. We tend to go 4.5 months because a lot of contracts will say you've got 90 days. You've got to give 90 days notice. Well, it's no point in us telling you 60 days before it expires, because you can't get out of it anyway. You've got no choice. So we tend to say 4.5, maybe 5 months. Some are 120 now, so some are getting quite aggressive. There's also a little tip that we always suggest: when you buy a contract, cancel it on the same day with a letter saying, please take this as notice that at the end of term we're cancelled. So we're giving you a year's notice for the cancellation. It means you never get into that situation where they say, sorry, you have to give us 60 days notice, 120 days notice, because you did it. It's just a letter. We can give you a copy of that letter, and every time you order a contract, purchase a contract, or you just send that out. So it doesn't cost anything. It's just part of what we offer as the service, and it reduces your risk a lot, and really works. Now, one last thing you might want to think about is what's called, people call it the grey market, they call it the broker market. It is rife. It is, when I say rife, I would say, I think in the UK it's like 28%. I know the HP numbers is 28% in the UK, and I believe Malta, across the board, which is Cisco, HPE, Lenovo, the three that I've seen the figures for, is up to about 33%. So 33%, the equipment you purchase for normal partners will not be from what's called authorised channel. We call it brokerage, but some people call it grey market. Now, this could work for you. It's usually cheaper. You can usually get it quicker. It's usually got Lenovo or HP written on it, and it usually is. The problem is the way they do this, these companies get it, is the brokerage firms will buy 10,000 of these and say it's for Barclays Bank. Malawi Telecom was the last one I saw. So Malawi Telecom bought 2,000 IBM servers. Malawi Telecom didn't buy any servers, but they got an amazingly good price from IBM. It was the end of the quarter. These people know what they're doing. Yeah, they bought these 2,000 servers, got it at ridiculous discounts because it was such a big one. It was the end of the quarter. Then straight into stock. Then they sell them out. They're available immediately, which is also a telltale sign. Yeah, and a broker. We come across it a lot. People say they can get it there tomorrow. Sure, they can, but it's not legitimate. Yes, it is, because I've dealt with this firm for years. Because you've dealt with a firm for years doesn't mean it's legitimate. It just means you've dealt with a firm for years and you like them, which is fine. But with this product here, when the contract comes in and we're checking it, so you're buying, I'm making up, 10 Lenovo servers. I use Lenovo because you get a lot of Lenovo broker kits. We see that it's probably the biggest area. When you get this contract, you're buying an array of some kind. I don't know what the Lenovo array is called. So comes in, and you've got a contract with it, which they sell manufacturer's service. And actually, we would then, as part of the thing, we'll check it on the portal of the manufacturer. Manufacturer, actually, that belongs to Malawi Telecom. Doesn't belong to you, Mr. Barclays Bank. And the thing that usually happens is the manufacturer will, oh, sorry, made a mistake there, and they'll change you as the owner. Quite often, until you make a call, this won't happen. And so you're sitting there, it's not known to the manufacturer you've got it. You might be in the wrong region. If you're in the wrong region, Lenovo won't come out and support it because they say it's not yours and it should be in Africa or should be in the Far East. So you're sitting on a risk that you have no idea of. And so when we get contracts from other clients, we'll always check on the portal. And if it comes up and said it's not belonging to you, we can just highlight it with you. What you do with that information is your choice, but you can go back to supplier and say, look, I think whoever sold you this is a grey market. So it gives you a little bit more and reduces your risk more. The last thing you want is a vendor saying, we're not going to support this when you're in critical times because this should have been in Australia or Brazil. And that does happen a lot more than you'd think. We see it weekly in the organisation, without a doubt. So the product, if anyone wants to see it, just ask and we'll present it. Jürgen will present it and show you exactly how it works. It's real ease of use. So I think the benefits there, fairly simple. I apologise I've waffled on for half an hour. But on this product here, because we see it from the other side, and we see so many clients have these issues, and very few of these clients don't have all of these issues if you're over a certain size. So it's not the case, oh yeah, that's happened to me or that's happened to me. It's usually most of these things. You've run out of a contract. You continue to pay for contracts for assets you don't have. Your SLAs, you don't know what they are, or they might not be what you bought. That's quite the norm. You don't know how to put calls in. You don't know who to put calls into because it's not readily available to you. Yeah, your warranty has drifted. You might not even know that. Your budgets are simple. And so the reduction in management time and costs, because time is cost. I think nobody here works as a charity and does it for nothing. You all work and get paid for it. So that's it, guys. In a nutshell, that's what it does. And so the thing we'll do is we will contact people afterwards. We'll send them copies of the contract, the CaaS slideshow, but we've also got a few little videos that we've made that are out on YouTube and the likes about it. If people want to see a demonstration, that's absolutely fine. On the costing side, it's our product. We have developed this product, so we can cost it how we like. So this is the final part. We can cost it how we like. So one customer, as I said, and the big client allow us to quote on things that have come from other businesses. Great. So that's how they pay for it. Yeah. Another contract, one of the banks allows us to take the money back that we've got reimbursed from manufacturers or from third-party maintenance companies because they didn't even know they could ever get that, and that's how we get paid. And others just pay a monthly fee, and so there's a negotiation to be had on how best to do it. So that's the way it works, guys. And when I say guys and girls, but I call everyone guys nowadays. I think it's sort of an asexual term. That's gender neutral, I think is the term actually. So there we are. Thank you very much. So if there's any questions, I must admit I'm not that sure how to get these questions, but no, there doesn't seem to be any questions, but that's fine. So there we are. So I'm going to cut this off in about a minute. We will send people on the participants. We'll send that over to you. Send the slideshow over to you, and we give you a shout. So, guys, thank you very much indeed for listening, and I hope you got something from it. All right then, thanks ever so much. Cheers.